kind of the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, which is not separate. It was a connection, the spirit of the age that suddenly grew and grew stronger and stronger. And I must say, do not be mystified if you're a Westerner by the name of Baha'u'llah, because it should be very well known to most people, because the translation from the Arabic and Persian of Baha'u'llah is glory of God. And throughout the length and breadth of this country, every church has the words dedicated to the glory of God written on it somewhere. So we should be familiar with the name of Baha'u'llah as Westerners or Christians, or even memorials have the words dedicated to the glory of God. So we should be very familiar with this word. All over the country today, and yesterday and in the future days, people are celebrating this event, not just in England, but all over the world. Millions of people are celebrating this very special holy day. Towns and villages are celebrating this bicentenary event. The Baha'is have arranged a very pleasant programme for you to enjoy. Nothing stressful, very short, pleasing music with our youth, wherever they are. You must have heard them. The next generation, and so you want to be relaxed and enjoy the event. And we have a short talk given by a good friend, Dr. Kuras Muhtadi, who's come all the way from Abingdon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, dear friends. It's wonderful, wonderful to see you all, and we are all really so privileged and so happy to be part of, this celebration, as Brian mentioned, which is worldwide. It's actually exhilarating for many of you. I'm sure it certainly has been for me. Many of you may have actually noticed and looked at the website, the bicentenary website, bicentenary.baha'i.org, and seen all these different celebrations, all these different expressions of art, of music, of feelings, of poetry, of all the things that people are doing around the world for this special occasion. I was sort of thinking, one of the things I was wondering about was that all of us, every single one of us, every day, we actually make our mark in history. Each one of us with our little interactions, things that we may not think about, but as parents, as children, as brothers and sisters, as co-workers in the place that we work, when we go shopping, when we smile at someone, when we are angry at someone, all of those things, we are making little marks here and there, every time. Then there are some people which make slightly bigger marks. They make bigger ripples, if you like, in this pond. I remember when I was a student at university, watching on TV, seeing Mother Teresa. Yeah, Mother Teresa, I don't know how tall she was or anything, but looking at the TV, you saw this little lady about this sort of big, and the impact that she had in Kolkata, in India, and worldwide was just astonishing. And you thought, how could that be? But tiny little lady like this, what you're thinking, how is it possible to have such an influence on so many different people and touching so many people's lives? Then there are some people which are even bigger influence. They've had impact on civilizations. They have transformed the way of life of people, right? And altogether, people, and these are people like Moses, like Jesus, like Muhammad, Krishna, Buddha, Zoroaster. We think of them, and we, of course, for the lack of a better word in our vocabulary, right? We refer to them as manifestations of God. You know, they are sort of signs. And they show some things, they show attributes, if you like, of God. At the same time, we live in a world that it's all about sound bites. We love sound bites. We love sort of making, and it's in our head. Association is one of the best, best things for us to remember stuff. You know, when I used to be at university here, there was a lovely gentleman who used to work in the at that time the Polytechnic Library. And he had a conversation once with the Bodleian Library librarian, because they had a meeting, etc. And he was saying, well, how do you classify your books as they arrive? Because Bodleian obviously received all the new books, or at that time, this is going back 30, 35 years. He says, how do you classify these books before you actually mark them, everything? He says, oh, I'll put them on the shelf, and then we do them by size and color. That's what we do. We said, just like kids do. And he says, so if I want such and such book, what do I do? He says, well, you got to tell me how big it is and which color, this color cover. I can find it very quickly for you before they're actually being properly classified. So we want to do things by size and color, about these manifestations of God. So, and when you think as a person, you think, well, Moses, we know him as the lawgiver with the Ten Commandments. Right? So we know that all of this, my son's currently studying law, we know all these things about the law in society really comes from him. He was the one who established, a structure, a framework for us. Jesus we associate with love of God and faith. Right? Muhammad we associate generally as surrender to the will of God and justice. He was a champion of justice. Krishna, spirituality. Buddha is peace, harmony, and meditation. Zoroaster, morality. Those are some of the things that comes to mind. With Baha'u'llah, of course, he was, of course, the manifestation of God that came as Brian was telling, during the, if you like, the revolution, industrial revolution, and all the revolution of thought, if you like, in the world at the time, in the middle of the 19th century. And this revolution of thought was that he basically was saying, actually, this world is one. So his message is a message of oneness. He said, all these manifestations of God, yes, they differ from in some of their if you like, if you want to qualify it as the non-essential teachings, in terms of, okay, how do you marry, what do you do after childbirth, how do you bury someone, how do we deal with certain aspects of the society, how do we run various parts of the if you like our churches, etc. Yes, they do vary, and in that sense, they are the bits which are necessary for the time. But the essential bits, which are the spiritual side of the teachings, Baha'u'llah told us that they're all the same. They all are manifestations of God. They all are mirrors of the same God, and they all, according to the time that they appear, they show different attributes. And these were the different attributes that, I said, the sound bites that maybe we could associate them with. And that humanity, of course, as we saw, as I was saying right now, with when you look with on the internet at the way all these celebrations are taking place, is that humanity is truly well and truly one. We may have these little, if you like, I remember again with my youngsters when they were teenagers, is that from time to time they became like a 2-year-old, and they threw these tantrums as if you like, as teenagers. And right now humanity is going through from the stage of, or it's really emerged from this stage of adolescence into adulthood, and sometimes it keeps throwing these tantrums, right? From time to time, from location to location, we actually see odd things that you associate. And now we think, we dealt with all of this when you were 2, you know, why is this coming up now? You know? But that is, I suppose, it's the way we are. But what Baha'u'llah was teaching us was that, look, when it comes to humanity, each one of you, they have got your own little gems in your hearts. And your task, my task as an individual, is to identify that gem, to polish that gem, and to be able to use that gem to make my mark in history, to actually do something which is useful, which brings value, if you like, to the society and in the people around. The way those gems are polished is through education. So Baha'u'llah basically taught us, okay, you've got to educate. You've got to, as a parent, you've got a responsibility for the children. As society, you've got responsibility for members of the society. As institutions, you've got responsibility for members of the society. They've got to all be educated. Right? Once they're educated, then they investigate things by themselves. They investigate things by themselves. They develop a sense of justice. They develop a sense of justice. That means that then issues associated with prejudice gradually go away, because you've got to see things with your own eyes. I can't rely on someone else to actually tell me what to do, what not to do. Right? I actually have to decide by myself. I have to investigate. Please come in. Please. Yeah. Investigate the truth by myself. And there is one truth. Everyone looks in the same direction. So it's bound to be. Things are, inevitable. So the formula and the principles by which he actually exposed, if you like, humanity to, are so sensible that, anybody who actually looks at them, they sort of say, well, this is bound to work. But principles, lots of people have principles. And good words, there are lots of people have got good words, and there are lots of attempts of having, if you like, peoples of goodwill trying to better the society around them. But what it takes, usually, is because we all are we're all very ambitious, and we want to do big things. But doing big things actually is quite difficult, right? But if we do them little by little, then those big things suddenly become manageable. I mean, I always wonder when I walk through various, places, towns, cities, and when you see, suddenly you see a piece of stone somewhere, which is totally being eroded by little drops, which have been falling somewhere. And you think, how did that little drop by drop, it actually affected that and changed it. And that is, I think, the secret to how the society will change. With all these, if you like, educational programs and activities that the Baha'is are trying to do with their colleagues, with their friends, with their neighbors, with the children's friends, with everyone, and the point is that no one has got monopoly on actually knowing and understanding all of this, but it's when we come together, when we apply the principles of the consultation, when we actually respect each other and understand what the other people, where the other people are coming from, and how we could develop this together to actually build something such that then ourselves, the next generation and the generations after them would benefit from them. Then we see, in not a very long time, a total transformation in society. And we've seen, I mean, if you go and look, as I said, I was looking at some of these videos and things which are there, and there is one section in that, in close to the end of the video that currently the light to the world, right? There is a gentleman from, I think he's from Panama, and he says, in my locality, in our village, illiteracy was a big problem. But when Light of Baha'u'llah came to this village, we realized that education is the way we're going to get out of this circle, this vicious circle of illiteracy. And now, he says, gradually things changed. And, you know, the community, it was an internal transformation within people that everything changed completely. And he says, if it can happen in my village, it can happen anywhere. And I think that is our challenge, but it's to take hope that it has happened in his village. So if it happens once, it can happen many times.
Into the teaching of Baha'u'llah. In my short lifetime, well, I'm 70, whatever, I've noticed so many social changes that is evidence that although for all the bad signs we see, we are nevertheless moving towards a much more, well in Europe anyway, a much more civilized society. All sorts of issues which were commonplace years ago in my lifetime, and now dissolving, very slowly dissolving away. Racism and bigotry, and there is more financial equality, although we complain about it. There is a movement towards more humanity, more human feeling in society, whether we like it or not. We are moving towards closer to our fellow human beings. Thank you very much, Bruce, for that wonderful talk. Next, thank you very much. Do you want this?
I'll start with that. Yeah. It's really nice to see you all. It's been really a long time. I hope you enjoy the song. And, I might give up on the mic at some point, by the way. From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of every man. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. There are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, no hungry mouths
peace. They're the songs of every man. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. Thank you.
Amazing. The next performance, the youth, they're going to quote some of the Baha'i writings in various languages, just to demonstrate the diversity of the Baha'i community in this small area, in Abingdon area.
This is a quote from Baha'u'llah. It will be said in several languages. Let your vision be world-embracing, rather than confined to your own self.
I will share the same quote in Setswana. Le tlapona ya gago gore e amogele lefatshe lotlhe. Go na le go ikogola mo go ba bangwe.
Neka pogledat vi je всеобхватен, а не ограничен до самите вас.
So this is in Greek. Αφήστε το όραμα σας να αγκαλιάσει τον κόσμο παρά να περιορίσετε στον εαυτό σας.
Lasst euren Blick weltumfassend sein, anstatt ihn auf euer Selbst zu beschränken.
In Polish, niech twoja ambicja obejmie świat, a niech ogranica się do własnego ja.
And in Persian, Hazrat Baha'u'llah فرمایند عالمبین باشید نه خودبین.
In Mandarin, 拥抱世界，超越自我。
Thank you.
If thou lovest me, because he's going to play the piano. The second song is God Grant. So whoever knows it, they can sing along.